Welcome.
Welcome
to the celebrated nightly news of Calaveras County. I'm John.
I'm Sarah.
And thanks for joining us again on a Tuesday night. Now, this is one of those Tuesdays where Board of Supervisors had a pretty light schedule, and then they had one of those study sessions on the general
forever.
plan that just goes on out infinitum. So we will have video of those up later. So if you're curious about those, we'll try to have some video up, and so you can watch them to your heart's content.
Exactly. You can get a play-by-play.
Play-by-play. In fact, we
nothing
have
to
some of
report
the, if
here.
you want to go back and look at some of the previous ones, we have a Board of
Yes.
Supervisors session that's almost 6 hours.
That's right.
Just a touch under 6 hours.
That is right.
Now that's quality county governance, isn't
That's
it?
right. You're getting your money's worth.
Yeah.
You are getting your money's worth from our Board of Supervisors now.
Now, as far as a little bit of rundown stuff, a little bit of, I guess, little local announcement, housekeeping type of things.
It may be local announcement housekeeping
Night.
today.
It
yes.
is. It might be.
It was a little light on news today.
It was.
It was a little light on news, and sometimes that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That is a good thing. So, you want to start with the
Sure.
housekeeping?
Okay. Well, I guess a couple little things. If you have internet access and you visit our site, that we now have. We finally got all of our Hot Copper Nights photos posted.
Yes.
So there's over 100 of them there that you can do as a slideshow and just let them go through and on and on and on. And there's also a little bit of video up there as well.
That's right.
So if you care to look at that, it's now up. And the other one is we also
we
got
should talk about the video, because the video is very interesting. Because you have a woman actually who's singing very well, I might add, a Stevie Nicks song.
Well, in her defense, most of the songs they were doing were
In a
50s
poodle
period,
skirt. Yes.
were 50s
Yes.
period
Yes.
stuff, and that just
But
happens
it's
to
kind
be.
it's kind of a cute little video. I
It
kind of
is.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of looks a little eclectic.
Should I do the news in a poodle skirt?
That would be eclectic too. But it's worth watching, because she does a very good job. I just thought it was very interesting that she was singing a Stevie Nicks song while wearing a poodle skirt.
And we also have some coverage up there of our Ironstone coverage for the weekend.
Yes.
Did I
yes.
cut away from Hot Copper Nights too quickly?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. She's like,
Did my eyebrow switch?
Yeah. We can go back if you would like.
that's okay.
All right. And also, we finally got some Ironstone coverage posted. Now, typically on Ironstone stuff, they're very tight about video and photo coverage.
Absolutely.
Typically, it's only the first few songs of a set, and then during those, only the first 30 seconds of those first few songs on a set.
Yes.
So, that said, we have about 20 photos up, and it was kind of a recap of the weekend. Oh, let's see if we can play something here.
Okay. Sounds good.
We will. The video probably won't. Here we go. And this is just about.
Look at that.
Here we go. There's a little tiny bit of Kebmo and. Here we go. Little tiny bit of Kebmo. Audio's real low.
There we go.
And this is what we were trying to show here, is if you haven't attended a concert at Ironstone, they have really
Very
nice big screen
Very good.
TVs. So even if you're not close,
You can
in some
still
ways
see.
it's almost better, because it's more relaxing. They have really nice coverage. UB40 did a great job. They were just a lot of fun. There was a lot of 40-something-year-olds that were kind of acting like they were 20.
Okay.
And it was one of those.
Those sort of nights.
Yes, it was. And, so that's.
There we go.
So we'll back out of that, and we'll, but it was actually a lot of fun. It was a really a great concert, a lot of fun, and I don't think people realize, we were talking to a man from the Valley, and I think a lot of times locals, we tend to take Ironstone for granted.
We do.
Because you think of, all this traffic coming into town on some weekends or something like that. But then you have to realize what they can actually mean for the economy in the area. It's a huge draw, but not only that, I think the other kind of interesting thing is, we were talking to the guy from the Valley, and he was saying that he's attended concerts at Shoreline, at Arco, all over the place. And he says the best shows he's seen have been in Ironstone. He says the combination of the relaxed atmosphere, good sound system, good acoustics. It was, and I thought that was kind of interesting. So not only can Ironstone is probably the best venue in our area, it's one of the best around. Period.
It is. But it's interesting. If you've lived here any length of time, you remember what Ironstone was when it first got started.
Right.
And it was just sort of rocks.
Just rocks.
Rocks.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about it is that, we all heard these stories. Oh, there's going to be an amphitheater, and you'd go out there and there'd be sort of the core buildings, and you'd look out and there would just be rocks. And now that's where the amphitheater is, and it's beautiful. Well, so it's this whole sort of transition that it's been interesting to watch unfold.
But I think doesn't this tie into a little bit of the developer mentality? For example, the Coppertown Center, what Castle and Cook is doing. And we were doing some research, a little bit of research today, and I thought it was interesting because we went to the Castle and Cook site. And look, none of us are for willy-nilly growth, because if the growth is done wrong, it ends up devaluing everything else around it instead of enhancing it. But I thought it was really interesting. There was a quote from David Murdoch on the front of this, and it was and I thought it was really. And there's a saying, and I guess what was it? This is David Murdoch, and now Castle and Cook is a private company that employs 67,000 people. It's one of those companies that sometimes kind of sneaks underneath the radar, and it is a huge.
It is a huge.
Basically,
they build everywhere.
And for example, in Hawaii, they own virtually the entire island of Lanai.
Yes.
The whole thing.
And Dole Foods.
Yeah, I mean the whole thing. But there's an interesting thing. This is David's credo: to do the impossible, you must see the invisible.
Yes.
See? So I think in some ways, it's this. Without getting all schmaltzy, but I think there's such a thing with the people that. The big developers and stuff, not the ones that are just cranking out track homes, but the ones that do things, what the Couses did with Ironstone. They had to be a vision there. I mean, they had to know what they wanted to do when they started. And to everybody else, it probably looked like insanity.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to build one of basically the largest combination winery entertainment complex in the U.S.
Yes.
In Murphy's.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But, I mean, what Murphy's was 10 or 15 years ago, it was a nice little small town, but it's very different now.
Right.
As most people who've been coming up for years would attest to.
Right.
And who've lived here for quite a while.
Well, I mean, if you look at what they have planned for copper, I mean, that's just the start of what they have planned for copper. And I think it's, they've got some, lots of times they've got some big plans for down there.
They do.
And I've heard some lot. I heard one of the guys that used to be one of the golf pros talking to him a couple of weeks ago, and he actually thinks that their long-term goal is actually Palm Springs-like. So that's their that's their end game, to do something that is that Palm Springs mixed with Gold Country type of development. So
feeling.
Boy, did I get off on a tangent.
We just let him go like, woo.
And occasionally I should explain that if you see me look left off camera, what we're looking at is we're monitoring our feed to make sure we're pushing the cable.
That we're still,
so
you can
if
still
you see me
us.
look left, it's not just a twitch. Well, sometimes it
can
might be.
Yes,
but,
exactly. But actually coming back into the
News?
district, actually upstream, so to speak, up the highway, Vallecito Union School District starts tomorrow.
Back
To
tomorrow.
school.
So Hazel Fisher, Michelson.
And Avery Middle School will be starting back to school tomorrow.
Wow.
So it is that time of year.
And also going farther up the hill, the Alpine County Chamber of Commerce is having an annual mixer and barbecue on Thursday night at 5:30 at the Lodge swimming pool. So if you imbibe a little too much, you can just jump in the pool.
That's always frightening to me. People mix alcohol in swimming pools. I don't know why. That is just a recipe for disaster, maybe.
But it is a nice pool. It's a very big pool.
Is it a big pool?
It's a big pool.
Okay.
It is a big pool.
I'll take your word for it because I've never actually seen it.
I walked past it a couple weeks ago when I went there for the Bear Valley Music Festival.
Okay.
I was like, wow, that's
a big pool. That's a big pool. Okay. And also, if you're following Board of Supervisors budget news, they will have their final budget hearings in the beginning of September. It's just, I can't believe the beginning of September is 2 weeks away. From Wednesday, September 5th, actually Wednesday and Thursday, September 5th and September 6th at the CalWorks Sequoia Room in San Andreas. They will start at 9 a.m. and continue until they are completed.
And also, they finalized the tire policy. Well, this is something Sarah reported on last week, right? Sarah was beat everyone out of the gate on that. Now, this is the official press release on the tire policy.
Yes, and they actually have a date when this tire policy will actually begin, which is on September 14th. And at that time, you can take 2 tires to the facilities in the county that will accept them, and they will be for free. You can dispose of them for free.
But you can't dispose of 4, only 2.
Only 2.
Yeah.
If you have 3, you have to take the 3rd one home. So that's sort of how it is.
But it is good.
Which is a good thing.
And one thing I think that's good about that the county is doing well is the trash policy, if you compare that to surrounding counties. We
actually have a really good trash collection system in this county and have done for years.
Because if you look at Tuolumne County, the back roads of Tuolumne County, they're kind of littered and strewn with couches and stuff like that.
And the other thing. But it was, my gosh, what was it, about 8 years ago that the state said that each county had to recycle 50% of their solid waste?
And Tuolumne County's approach is just you throw it out and let it decompose.
That's right.
It's called direct recycling. No,
exactly.
Just kidding.
Instead of indirect recycling.
Nasty comments from Tuolumne County. It's a new direct recycling policy.
That's right.
Also, we've had some requests from some people. If you're visiting our site, we made some changes today. On the right-hand side, we're going to start putting some links to some of the recent videos that have had a lot of traffic, but also some of the classic ones. For example, we have links to the one last year when they were setting the chairlift poles of Bear by helicopter, one from the Sierra Century highlights. These aren't necessarily topical news, but just videos that have just kind of got a lot of traffic.
Do you have Frogman in there?
We didn't have Frogman. I should put Frogman in there.
Frogman in there. Frogman is a very cool.
For example, if you're coming up to the area and you want to see what the parades are like, we have links to this year's Arnold Independence Day Parade. We have the the chairlift interviews from last year. There's also one with that 1942 vintage frog jump video. That's a little bit of a link to that. So if you want to see some little interesting things that we hope. The Irish Days Parade.
You can just go on the
site.
There you go.
And there's even an interview with Sarah with Congressman Lundgren.
That's right. Congressman Lundgren.
So. And there's even one. And we even did one game on there. Bret Hart Boys. It was playoff basketball from this last year. And this was one of those games that was just a good game. I mean, they were just. It was. At the end of the game, everyone was exhausted.
Just from
people
watching
and everything else. So, anyway, and also a little thing is we got an email today.
Okay.
Can I go on? Okay, I did. She's a tough taskmaster telling me watching the schedule here. But the site of the we have this as our site of the day. It's for the Sierra Logging Museum, and they have also revamped their site so they not only have museum specific stuff, they now have a lot more history. Area history, so there's a lot more narrative and a lot more additional, and we're working on a little second screen here, but let's see if we can pull up
the logging museum.
And this is really scintillating TV. It's called Watching People Type. This is just
but there is a lot of history that the Sierra Nevada Logging Museum actually brings together for people. I mean, people who are new to the area don't really realize the great logging history there is here in the county. And logging is still the second agricultural product.
Yeah.
Next to cattle. in the county. So, logging is still a viable...
And this really celebrates the history. And they're going to have coming their logging jamboree in a couple weeks.
Labor Day weekend.
So, whoops. I put it on the wrong screen. So let's see here. Let's see if we can... Did that work? Oh, we still have our little Ironstone video there.
Let's
see, I should have it so I just have a mirrored screen, but right now I have it so it's... There we go. All right.
There we go.
And here's a new site, and this is more of a blog-style site. Hopefully you can see it a little bit. But they have all kinds of stuff now down the right-hand side where they have cookbooks, how to do, history. So it's a very, very nice site. And go explore. Now there's a lot of stuff that you can explore and go wander around on the Sierra Nevada Logging Museum site.
Look at this. They have true stories.
True stories.
Camp cooks had rules.
As
apparently
opposed
they
to
did.
as opposed to ones that aren't true.
My first love affair
Was with a tree. Is that?
I don't know.
There we go. Camp cooks
the
had
day,
rules.
An evening with Doc, and the day I met Doc.
There we go.
And a woman's point of view.
Camp cooks from Larson. Yeah, see, there's all kinds of stuff on there.
So this is very cool.
That is our little site of the day and kind of local tidbit stuff. So if you want to go on there, it is SierraLoggingMuseum.com or org.
Org. It's probably org. No, it's com.
Probably both of them will get there. We better make this.
I don't
make
know.
sure we get this right.
Sometimes when there's a com instead of an org,
easy one is just go to thepinetree.net and click it.
Yes.
Because it may be like whitehouse.com versus...
You don't want to do that. Go .gov, right? Or is it org? It's
.gov. For those of you that didn't know, there was a kind of a long-running joke on the web that if you went to whitehouse.gov, you were okay.
Yes.
If you went to Whitehouse...
That's actually White House.
Yes, whitehouse.com or .org or net, anything else. The house may have been white, but everything else was various shades of blue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
like XXX.
Yeah.
XX.
Yes, but I think the government has since bought all those domains.
I hope so.
Yes, they have.
I hope so. In one of the offices I worked in, a woman was trying to access the White House, and she put .com instead of .gov, and all of a sudden you heard her go, "Oh my gosh, I can't! Oh no!" And she had to, call the Assembly Rules Committee and go, "I didn't mean to go on that site. I'm so sorry."
Yeah, sure.
And then she was like, "How do I get off of it? How do I get off of it?"
And also a little kind of thing on Murphy's tonight. A little update on the Alchemy Wine Market, which was Reese has under new ownership, and the man that purchased it came from Carmel, and he has a lot of nice ideas and stuff for it. And they're also going to start a winemaker's dinner every Tuesday night. So tonight they have a winemaker's dinner at Alchemy from 6 to 9 p.m. every Tuesday night. And also the MC Trio with Matt Cullen, Don McDowell, and Kim Manuel are playing tonight.
Yes, they are playing tonight. So that's something to go to if you feel so inclined this evening.
And also on thepinetree.net, if you didn't like tonight's news, you can always watch last night's.
That's right. A little more newsy. But actually, talking about Calaveras County budget, of course, counties are required by law to pass a budget.
Right.
The state has actually passed a budget.
No way.
Yes, $145 billion budget plan. And the headline
it's really scary
reads,
when that starts sounding small.
$145 billion is a lot of money.
Right,
it's a lot of money. California lawmakers ended the nation's longest budget impasse Tuesday, agreeing to a $145 billion spending plan that eliminates the state's persistent deficit and addresses the myriad concerns of holdout Republicans. The deal emerged quickly after the Assembly and Senate failed to agree on a budget late Monday night, and ends a stalemate that has lasted more than 7 weeks beyond the start of the fiscal year. And as I said on Monday night, we were also, the state was $3 billion in the hole, in the red, trying to do their thing while this budget impasse began. And actually, if I can find this, I thought was a very interesting one. If you'll remember, I believe it was last Thursday. I was talking about the electoral vote.
Yes.
And right now we are winner takes all state, and there is a movement afoot to it a foot.
Yeah.
To divide the electoral votes of California dependent on congressional district. So if a particular congressional district wins Democrat, that electoral vote will go to the Democrats.
Well, that's a much more equitable system.
It
whether
is.
everybody's happy with it or not.
But this is a really interesting headline. Field poll shows Californians lean toward dividing electoral votes. California voters are inclined to support a proposed ballot initiative that would change how the Golden State allocates its electoral votes.
It makes us matter. I mean, it
does.
Instead of just a winner take all, because
yes.
Well, also it would tend to engender a better voter turnout as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Because there's a lot of people that if they don't think their candidate's going to carry the state, they
just don't go vote.
Yeah.
That's right. And let's see, 5 months. Or at least the convention. It's entirely possible that California's voters will effectively decide the presidential contest 5 months earlier by passing judgment on this ballot measure. So it should be because we have the largest in the nation block of electoral votes.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
55 electoral votes. Absolutely.
And I thought it was kind of interesting to segue kind of a couple little national pieces. The OIG, the Office of Inspector General, has come out with a report that faults and lays the blame for 9/11 basically directly on the CIA. And
really?
I think that
I didn't hear that.
And this is kind of an interesting thing to where, and obviously there's plenty of blame to go around on that one, but I think there is such a thing that, at least from their perspective, the CIA should have known better. And it's kind of an interesting piece. And kind of our odd news is, did you see the one about the bear report? Ooh, this one's kind of icky.
No.
No, there was over in Russia. Well, it's in Belgrade. Let's see, what was it? Yugoslavia. Anyway, it was over in the Eastern Bloc somewhere. There was in the Belgrade Zoo. Zookeepers found a naked, half-eaten man inside the bear enclosure.
Oh.
2 adult bears, Marcia and Misha, had dragged the body to their feeding corner and reacted angrily when keepers tried to recover it. So they wanted to keep their man. And this is, this is one of those things that there was a beer festival underway near the zoo. So somebody probably did one of those drunken thought this would be a good idea.
This would be really fun. Let's go see the bears.
Yes. And he ended up being
bear food
dinner. So, yeah.
Wow. That's really...
And I thought that was a little disturbing in a lot of ways, but
how did you find that?
Huh?
How did you find that?
Well, just kind of the odd stuff, Oh, and also another one on international news as well. And this is one that is really, if this one's true, then we got issues. Leaflet said to warn of Iran move into North Iraq. So they're trying to ascertain the, the validity of the, if they're accurate or not, or that type, or it's just a hoax.
Exactly.
But basically, hundreds of villagers have fled their homes in Iraq's mountainous northeast, while others hid in caves after what local authorities said was days of intermittent shelling by Iran across the border.
Oh, wow.
So it's ugly over there.
It is getting uglier.
And the space shuttle made it home?
I know, which is very cool. Very cool. And a lot of people watched it online, apparently.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I didn't. I should have.
I had read that somewhere. And also, congressional approval rating is at its lowest.
It is so
abysmal.
Low. It is
18% approval rating in Congress.
Now, I guess this is really in a weird turn of events. What, isn't Bush's rating about 35 or 36? So his is double theirs?
Yes, that's interesting.
And
so everybody's low,
Yeah, they just want to throw the whole thing out. Yeah. Anyway.
I thought this was interesting, though. Apparently, liberals read more books than conservatives.
I believe that.
And 1 in 4 read no books last year. 1 in 4 people did not read a book last year.
Well, I have to admit, too, that, see, I used to be a voracious reader. I mean, at least one full book a week. That was my...
Really? One full book? But they were biographies, right?
Yeah, I mean, I used to literally 300 or 400 pages a week. That was my, day, week in, week out. No, it was just what I did,
Wow.
And that wasn't really that much, but it was, I can say I probably haven't read a full book in the last 2 years.
Oh, I've read full books, but they're not biographies mostly.
I read a lot.
Well,
but it's all staring at this little screen.
Exactly. The internet has changed the way that people read.
Yes.
So they sort of read sporadically. They just read a little here and a little there.
Well, I think isn't it need or curiosity-driven reading? Because the nice thing about the web is you can find anything you want whenever you want to find it. So if a kid has a homework question or something like that, you can always find it.
You can find it, exactly.
And the interesting thing is, since I've started using the computer more, my IQ's probably dropped in half because I no longer have to know anything, right? Not that I did before, but
okay.
Now it's just like, it's Google says. I don't know, but I can type it. Sorry, I didn't.
Anyway, 1 in 4 read no books last year. Although, 1 in 4 is 25%, right?
So that's still 75% of the people read books.
Yes.
Which is, you could say that's pretty...
That's pretty good. I was just thinking this because about 8 years ago, I read a study that said only 18% of people read one book the year prior.
Wow.
So
it's actually going... Reading
it looks like it's going up.
Oh.
Compared to what I read about 8 years ago.
Okay. Well, I guess the other thought was a weird little health thing is, so if you have a little spare tire, a little bit of punch around the middle, it's not your fault.
We mentioned this yesterday.
I know.
Yeah.
But here's the piece.
I'm sorry. We mentioned this on Monday.
Yes, Monday. Sarah drove this is where they're saying that viruses drive obesity, and this is the article on it. So, Health Newsday, news research is bolstering the theory that obesity may stem, at least in part, from a common virus that helps create new, healthier fat cells. The roots of obesity are probably complex and various. However, their lab tests showed that exposure to adenovirus 36, kind of like adipose tissue, is that the... Yeah, anyway,
adipose. I think
which causes respiratory and eye infections, also causes stem cells to develop into fat cells. So that's what happened.
Okay.
To me.
That's what they say. See, I still think it's calories in, calories out.
Yeah, there's probably some of that too.
Back to the old 80s adage, calories in, calories out.
I thought it was really funny one time, and kind of not funny. It was a talk show interview with Farrah Fawcett, and this is the time she was young and
attractive. Yeah. Well, she still is attractive.
Right, but basically they had, Farrah, how do you stay so thin? And she said, deadpan, well, I consume fewer calories than I burn.
Oh.
And it was just like, it was like there was a silence. It was just like somebody dropped a bomb. It was just like, well, where do you take that? If you're a talk show host, you're looking for the glib answers, something you can work off of. It's like, wow, that's really good. And, how many hours? Didn't say anything how much she exercised, anything like that. She just basically said,
I consume more calories.
I consume fewer calories than I burn. That's it. That was it. Just a dead one
she's
sentence.
Right.
Yeah, but nobody wants to hear that.
Yeah, but it's the truth. And actually, we should do the weather really fast.
Oh, no.
Okay, Arnold weather.
We better...
Wednesday, 91 degrees. Thursday, 90 degrees. And Friday, 90 degrees. And I don't know if I can get my screen to move.
No, we better go down and do... we're going to say, we'll do this really quick because we're about a 15-second weather.
That's right.
And it is going to be, it's warm and getting warmer. No, just kidding. Murphy's. All right, this is going to be for most of the area. Murphy's high of 96. 96 on Thursday, hot. 95 on Friday. So mid to upper 90s with an occasional... And good night. And we will see you tomorrow night.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Good night.
Good night.